Good evening, everybody. Thanks for your time. Thanks for being here. And thanks for your efforts and energies. This is, without a shadow of a doubt, Lost Wages, Second Chances. Season 1 finale, entitled A Corpse's Crossed Fingers. I'm Nobody, your storyteller, your narrator, your number one fan. And we hope, for myself and this troop of players, that you enjoy the shenanigans of this coterie as much as we hope to. Thank you.
Shit.
Wow, okay, that's an entrance. Thanks for playing me on. I'm Nobody, your neighborhood storyteller. And this is Lost Wages, Second Chances. How are we, everyone?
Well, please take us away, Neon.
I said I'm doing all right.
All right is good.
I miraculously woke up, took a shower, made food, sat down, and then realized, oh shit, we've got a session tonight. So my brain subconsciously knew better than I did.
Well, see, not all habits are a bad thing. Routine is unfortunately a habit as well. So, we don't think about those things when we decry the nature of the habitual. So while everyone else peters in and dawdles in and arrives in their own inimitable way and time, questions and suggestions we can hammer out in the in-between time.
Let's see. The party was all meeting back up at my shop, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Just so that I got a good understanding what future plans are.
Hello.
Good evening.
And was it Bo that decided to take a bite out of life while they were being tackled?
Yes, he was one of them.
One of them? Who was the other one?
No.
That would have been very worrisome.
Well, when you're hungry, you gotta eat.
That's true. I really like it. Hey, Fancy.
Wow. Believe it or not, we are still several moments ahead of our hard start, and we have everyone. The entire troop has arrived.
Hell yeah.
That's crazy talk.
It is. It's a habit for me. It's my usual. It's my new everyday old normal. Speaking of similar new old normals, questions.
Alright, so to cycle myself through it, the Immortal is connected to the Russians, but the Immortal just did something that might incredibly piss off the Russians.
Yeah, a job's a job. Man's gotta eat. He's gotta work.
And so we're assuming that whoever is backing the Immortal is either powerful within the Russians, powerful enough to stop the Russians from dealing with him, or is another powerful entity outside of the Russians.
That would be, not a bad thought. Yeah. So somebody is, to simplify the whole, the bulk of it, from what has been discovered through conversation and through knowledge of the city and its tapestry, its threads woven together, the Immortal is a skilled thief. He may not even know who's protecting him or backing him because of his successes, or because at the end of the day, after a certain number of jobs, opportunities, he may be cut loose. All of his chickens may come home to roost all at once, or someone has something bigger in mind for him, something darker. Each of the kindred of this particular coterie, and despite the connotations of the word, had actually been groomed. Each of the kindred of this coterie have survived long enough to understand that it is a phenomenally large pyramid scheme. The stereotypes and tropes and rumors and conjectures are surrounding each of the clans are that way, not because they actually are the foundations of anything, but because they've been proven to work. The vast majority of kindred who are embraced willy-nilly, hotsy-totsy, all over the map and chaotically, even more so than those who have been prepped, face the sun or worse within their first year. Kindred embrace just because, or to save their lives, or to not let love die, typically disappear into the ground within their first year. And that says a lot considering how small the numbers already are. While no one wants more competition, everyone wants more assistance and help. Mankind is a social beast despite itself. And so sires who have any inclination or any idea as to the potential odds, and here in Vegas that's the vast majority of them, know that it requires work to properly prepare the person, knows that it requires planning, knows it requires stacking the deck so that their act of violation of the natural order of the entirety of the universe has the best odds of survival. So you groom them, whether it is directly with carefully laid clues and conversations and that more hands-on, or it is preparing the world around them, pushing them into situations where it requires them making harder and harder choices, doing more and more things that are less and less connected to their fellow humans, such as living by night, robbing, stealing, killing, beating, breaking, bending, slowly radicalizing them to understanding that the idea of criminality, for instance, is a construct that they don't have to take part in. Because at the end of the day, as long as there's a fine for it, it's not really a crime. It's aftermarket pay to win. You want to do 60 miles an hour, you know that it's going to be $125 tickets. Do you have $125? Yeah, well then that's not a crime. You're just paying to drive, 125 miles an hour. You want to break into somebody's house? As long as you don't kill them, you don't have to worry about any being locked behind bars for too long. So it's really not a crime. It is paying to take and borrow from your neighbor whenever you want. You want to beat somebody up, that's fine. As long as you don't actually kill them with witnesses, you get caught beating somebody up, it's a fine. So it's not really a crime. You're just paying for the right to put your fist in, or foot, or knee into somebody else's face and their other extremities. The kindred work on their children, their potential children, their potential ghouls in that way. They groom them. They groom them by making them make those decisions, those choices, putting themselves out there and understanding that those laws, those rules, those social mores even don't have to apply to them. One dangerous situation after another. One horrible outsider situation after the other. And if you were a betting man, luckily Ryan isn't, but if you were looking at the odds, looking at the jobs that he's been connected with and the information that he's been, even if he's never looked at anything that he took from this last potential job, there's no way that someone's doesn't have big plans for him one way or the other.
Solid. All right. Homie is a potential member of the night then. If we go in the favor of what seems to be the plan.
Yep.
Which is really funny given his fucking moniker.
Clearly, he is merely an Evanescence fan.
Yes. What a way to prove that song
I do
wrong.
have a question which will be kind of just some housekeeping.
Okay. Yes, Pine Sol is better than Fabulosa, and yes, Fabulosa is better than most of the others. You also want to make sure that you use a little bit of peroxiding where there might be, living matter, the flakes of skin and stuff like that. You want to get down into the grout especially. Most people ignore that part. I think you have to get down on your hands and knees and use a toothbrush. However, there's scrubbing pads you can put on top of your drill and just go over your floor one good time, get it nice and lathered up, give it a quick rinse. There's also, for delicate paint, you want to blot more so than scrub. And nothing beats the good old-fashioned mop. You did say it was about house cleaning.
That was helpful, but I honestly was asking, after the whole frenzy thingy, do you happen to remember what the blood was? I can't remember if it was at 1 or 2.
That's a good question.
For Eugene.
That is, in fact, a very, very good question. Let's say 1. Let's say he really got what he needed from that moment. Thick, rich, hot, and heavy.
He's still out of this. Now, once he frenzies and loses all control, does he get a recharge on willpower, or is it staying relatively low temporarily?
That's a good question. It's also a mechanical question that we all should know. Does anyone have the answer?
Sorry, what was the question again? I was reading.
Over the course of a night, which is what happens in this particular case, how much, if any, willpower should Eugene get back?
Depends on if he met his desires, I guess.
What was your desire for the episodes, Eugene?
Not to be killed?
Too late. He's a vampire.
Usually you only get 1 willpower back.
And that's actually if
all the way
we're
through.
transitioning between days, not between episodes.
Exactly. And then any more willpower than that usually requires a visit to a touch.
Yeah, so I think the answer is you're shit out of luck.
So that means that there's a pretty high chance of frenzy yet again.
Yeah, that's where he lives. That's perfectly fine. It's perfectly acceptable. And 1 willpower is more than enough to usually stave that off. Unless, of course, you want to use it to make sure you put forth that, as Deadpool says, maximum effort. Between sessions, i.e. stories, once this is over, between nights passing, it's 1 per typically. Barring extenuating circumstances, per night there's always a 1 return. Per story passing, you regain the balance of whichever is lore between which attributes?
Composure and resolve?
Yes. Excellent.
So, wait, between episodes we regain willpower?
As long as there's a night between them.
Oh, fuck. Fuck. I've been staring at
have a
Joey's
night pass?
willpower, and I'm like, please God, please deliver me some grace.
And with us picking up the next night from the frantic late night calls from Ryan, with everyone having found a safe place to alight, what should that be for everybody in regards to willpower?
Get your shit back dependent upon your composure or resolve. Also, roll rouse.
Yes.
Fuck it.
These things happen. And that's a great sign. It's at the start of these things.
Oh, man. Am I literally gonna be... Am I gonna be the only one in the coterie that's getting hungrier tonight?
Well, you know, you are the host, after all. It's quite natural there's to be a little bit of nerves and energy and, well...
There we go. There we go. Enjoy that, Morgan.
But I mean, I'm also spending the night at my retainer's place, so maybe not so much an issue.
We back on her pet if she feels like it, so
That's always a great idea. Alright, sorry about that. Just had to close a quick door.
But I guess that does bring up an interesting point. How does my Ryan react to me literally being dead? With minimal preparation of like, hey, by the way, got someplace where there's no light I can crash because I'm about to die.
don't forget to bury your neck a little bit because, well, I'm a little, you know.
As an averagely intelligent individual, having had the brochure as to Vampirism 101, he wouldn't know what to do. He wouldn't have a real idea. Oh, we just pull the curtains, it'll be perfectly fine. Not realizing that the permeation of the light would, of course, cause harm. That would come down to, well, his domitor. It would come down to you to make those decisions. You are educating him as to best practices at a very rapid rate. Going from a zero understanding or zero insight or zero idea that it's even a possibility to wham bam, thank you ma'am, this is exactly what it is. How prepared and lubricated are you making his descent into this very, very dark world? How much are you investing in his ability to make the right decisions and build the right connections?
Well, I kind of feel like she's been not necessarily playing like the long game, but like just kind of like finessing things here and now to like get him used to like small things here and there. Like, then it's just kind of, but this is probably beyond where they've been before. So, considering that when we last left off, time was growing very short. It's like, so I'm assuming his place maybe has a walk-in closet.
Walk-in? Yeah, but yeah, he has a closet.
You know, it's fine. I'm sure she slept in less comfortable locations. She will just curl up nice and cozy, and instruct him to like hang a blanket, like a heavy winter blanket, over the door so that like there's no light getting into the frame.
I like to imagine rigor mortis is just keeping you standing straight up.
No, just curled up in a little ball. I mean, she's not like short, but she's not tall either. Pretty average.
I see.
Is that the reason why her pageant career ended so quickly?
Right. Well, she's 5'5", so pretty average for height.
Yeah. You'll never get the endorsement deals. You just don't have the legs for it. Who wants to endorse Bob Rizza Ford? What's wrong with you? Well, that's how everybody's got to start somewhere. Oh my God, why do you have to be such a stuck-up little... Watch your mouth, lady. Smile, smile, smile. After you, Shorty.
Rip. Did I do that? Oh no, look at me. I stumbled in that dance and followed on to everyone else, and now it's just disaster.
All right.
Of course, things were different back in the 80s and 90s when she was doing the circuit.
Yeah, you can punch somebody as long as it's not in the face.
Exactly.
Gently nudge them forward on the stage. It's your turn. Oh, she hit me. Well, then hit her back and keep it moving. Any other questions?
No, I should be good. I've got a general understanding of what the hell is going on. And I know that tonight's gonna get bumpy.
Well, we shall see how rough the road, how ragged the journey.
Absolutely. Ow.
Did Fancy get to make her... I know she attempted to make that call to the financial person that her sire gave her before she went to sleep for the day.
Oh, actually, yeah, that is another question. When the fuck are we gonna talk to the Immortals' aunt? Or stepmom, there we go, stepmom.
Yeah, when are you gonna do that? Fancy?
Look at here, I got other things going on.
Okay.
All right. In regards to reaching out to the financial person, that's more of a face-to-face. That's more of a make an arrangement to meet. And I'll leave that discernment on whether Fancy was able to schedule a meeting. Up to you. You'll be able to tell us and the rest of the coterie once you all gather. Deal?
Sure.
Okay.
All right. So, for the record, this is, of course, Lost Wages, Second Chances. This is the denouement of the first season. This is the last bit, the angel's cut of this very, very potent distillation. The coterie have found that there is as always, a conspiracy afoot. Now, when most people think of conspiracies, they think of this vast, nebulous network of men and women in shadows speaking from very deep throats to cause something. No, conspiracy is just a group of individuals working together and hoping they don't get found out. Because what most people fail to realize, the cover-up is always worse than the crime. And so all of the efforts to keep attention from falling on them, and all of the efforts to get away with murder, and in this case, that very well has been just that. From character assassination to full-fledged ending of persons, because the information that was taken, the tokens, mementos, and detailed journaling of the kindred is nuclear. It is a very slow and painful obliteration of those who have actually come into contact with this, because it's one of those situations, just like Google has access to the entirety of your life and could do all sorts of heinous, repulsive things, but they can only do it once. If they acted on nebulously any of the reams and reams of information they have from their users, it would be over. No one would ever have any semblance of, no matter how easy it is, no matter how simple it is, trust in. They'd be giving the business away to their competitors. All of their many businesses away to their competitors. So they can do massively damaging things to the very fabric of society, but they'd only be able to get away with it once. And that's what the information you all have had followed across your laps. Pieces and bits and bobs and dangly portions of radioactive nuclear level information. And it's caused wreck, ruin, harm, and disaster. Just the insinuation that it's out there. Someone has mobilized the almost entirety of their political might. They have ensured that scorched earth is considered a mercy. And they're still out there. The very many shadowy individuals connected with this and those fighting against it. And sorting out which snake belongs to which head and which head belongs to which snake is almost impossible. Like the rumors of the Hydra cut off one head and another shall appear, and so forth and so on. Untangling this rat king of intentions doesn't leave much room for anything else. And so rousing for the night, resurrecting for their everlasting night, this coterie of Las Vegas, how do they go about getting to their meeting with each other to distill, disseminate, and discuss what the next step is? Starting in reverse alphabetical order. Morgan, then Martha. Oh, sorry. Ryan, then Morgan, then Martha, then Fancy, then Eugene.
All right. It's not really too much fancy going on here. I'm not gonna sleep in the shop, mind you, but I imagine that from his haven, he woke up, did his rituals, made sure to check his phone for messages, and just drove. Homie's got a car.
Yes, an outdated police bubble. A vehicle that even for those who didn't grow up in the heyday of that vehicle being used as an unmarked police car and an often marked police car, there is still the DNA of those fears in the heads of most criminals. They see that car, they have to do a double take and make sure that it's not an unmarked. They want to make sure that it's not, drop his visor and there's going to be the red and blues there. So moving through the streets like the predator that he is, it is not uncommon for him to see a few ill-meaning individuals who make their living as outside of the law as possible do a double take or step back into a doorway or round a corner or scooch down in their front seat and try to remain out of view.
I like to think that it's a power thing. You know, he lived most of his life as a criminal, always fearing the police, and now he gets to drive around in a car that makes other people instinctually fear him. But on the same note, it's one of those, like, take your enemy's power, make it your own.
Morgan.
Right. So she would, I guess, fight her way out of the closet. I'm sure there's a whole other story there. Right?
You smell of gym socks.
Hop in the shower. Right. Hop in the shower. Borrow one of his t-shirts, probably. Maybe a button down. Who knows? And ask him if he's ready to go see the friends again.
He inhales deeply, looking at you there in your preternaturally dyed hair, wearing one of his t-shirts, and just shakes his head. Did you really have to wear that one? And you look down at the name, not paying much attention to it, and it says St. Vladimir's Academy, Physical Fitness Department. It's from that book series you made fun of me reading, The Vampire Academy. Come on, let's go. Where are we going?
We're going to Ryan's shop. I will give him the address.
It's like, great. Just great. All of that work to get out of that area. I'm going back there with creatures of the night, the children of the night. Don't they make such beautiful music?
Not always, no. And there's many less turning into ghouls than you would expect. Well, yeah.
What about myths?
Less turning into. Haven't met anyone who can do that.
And that whole playing tricks with people's minds, is that what you've been doing for years to keep, the shop going?
No, that's just me being pretty. She'll bat her eyelashes at him.
You wouldn't tell me if you were anyway, would you?
I mean, at this point, you might as well know that's not really in my wheelhouse. Others can.
Fancy.
Fancy would be, after getting up to the night. First thing is concierge to get new clothing. Because heaven forbid, she wears something she was running from the law in and got scuffed across the ground on. She's going to check and see if any of the wounds from last night are still around, redo her hair, freshen up, and then call an Uber to go to Ryan's.
Excellent. Always a very good idea. Martha, we skipped over you. I'm truly sorry about that. How does Martha prepare to rouse and ready for what might become of the evening?
Well, I think she'd start with just getting a shower, checking her phone to make sure there's nothing exploding in her life. Probably put on the blush of life just to blend in a little more. Let me browse for that real quick. Probably would buy a new change of clothes and get a taxi over to the shop, I guess.
Okay. There are definitely taxis available. It's not unusual to step into a clearly demarcated, good old-fashioned yellow tuxedo, checker, all-American, or several such notable formerly popular American taxi companies to find the Uber Light, the Lyft pink mustache, the various other ride shares, all occupying the same real estate on the on the actual cab. There's, they have their medallion, they have their shield, and yet they're still doing the other ride share options, such as the one that you enter into. It's a relatively nice vehicle. It has antique plates, so you get the feeling of good old-fashioned classic Americana. Wide back seats, the plexiglass partition between him and you, and enough leg space that you can almost do the can while seated. And off you all go, heading towards Ryan's particular shop. It is not in the worst neighborhood of Las Vegas, but it is very, very, very far from the best. And speaking of not the worst, Eugene, preparing for the night.
Quick question. It rouses his memory. How many days before that enclave is supposed to start?
Oh, far too few, and still far enough away that it looms heavy on the horizon line. The Garuja is a monthly gathering. You, Fancy, Victoria, several other middle and lower ranked blue bloods are responsible for gathering the site, the staff, preparing the place, having just enough hospitality for visiting notable members of the clan, checking in with your betters, making sure that all of their wishes are met in regards to the accommodations that they individually need for them and their staff, as well as have space large enough and secure enough for you all to handle the board meeting of the clan. And to say that so much as one night less feels like the walls are closing in. 2, feels like the entirety of the world is dropping from beneath your feet. 3 nights with nothing prepared, and there's a very real contemplation for getting a permanent suntan.
We're gonna have to get on that. All right. His morning obligation or his evening obligation, shower. Turn on ESPN, box scores, see what numbers he can recall off the top of his head of who bet against which teams, who lost, and so that he can remember to go ahead and pay a visit because, money. And he makes mental notes of that. Also writes down a few things just in case, writes it in code so that he can remember it when he needs to. Make sure that his guns are locked and loaded, and then he hops in his vehicle, turns on his phone briefly, checks the messages, see if anything's interesting. If not, then he heads over to to Ryan's place.
That is quite a lot. Let's do this. Would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll twice for me? Once is going to be your intelligence and your either leadership or your streetwise. And the next is going to be wit and either politics or streetwise.
Any difficulties?
As high as you possibly can. There's a hierarchy of sins in regards to extra legal activities and options in Vegas. King of them all is gambling. People will toss a coin, heads, tails, and lose everything of value to them. People on the spin of a die will lose everything valuable to those that matter to them. So keeping track of the box scores and the outcomes, the spreads and the like is almost second nature for most individuals living in and around Las Vegas. And unfortunately for Mr. Eugene, his investments, his loans, his collections, while a pressing matter, he did better than breaking even on those who bet with him or those that he is collecting on. He still hasn't collected or left the proper memorandum for his previous night's activities. It's a compounding list of things that he needs to accomplish, and yet there is the fact that he is in the midst of, well, he can ignore it. He can ignore what's going on right now because, you know, money is money. It makes the world go round. Bets are bets, and they're very, very important. It's probably better for him to go do that than deal with all of the vampiric shenanigans he's run afoul of.
How long would it take me, take Eugene out of his way to go ahead and make those collections?
That would be at least easily 2 nights worth of activities.
I'll just leave it on compound entrance. Set a 1 point marker for every day that they late. Since they haven't reached out to me and haven't paid me, well, we'll just go ahead and add that to the sum total. I'll get back to that later.
But it is very, very important. It is
important.
A nagging thought, because if you don't show face, if you don't let them know that you are still about your business, who knows what sort of idiotic ideas they'll get up to.
That is true. However, it makes more money if they don't show up, because if I gotta break a leg, they'll pay even more because they're gonna have to pay for me breaking their leg and the compound interest of them not reaching out to me. So it makes more money business-wise to just go ahead and let them string for a little bit.
Which is all valid if they knew where you lived. If they could just drop by and sit something down for you. They don't. You have to go to the normal places where the normal less than great things are happening for them. And occasionally, you know, you gotta run someone down.
I'll table that. I'll come back to that momentarily.
Fashionably late.
Ryan's first.
Fashionably late is typically 15 minutes. What that means is everyone has had time to get to the engagement. Take off their coats, make it through the welcoming line, and just as the welcoming line, the host is done greeting everyone and is beginning to mingle through the party, that's when you arrive to make an impression on everyone, because unlike the other partiers, the revelers, you didn't make your way through the greeting line. You showed up just as the doors were preparing to close, or just after they finally closed for the night and everyone's inside the estate, and you have the doors open for you, pausing in the doorway, properly framed by all of the valets and lesser individuals, making your status seem so much higher. It's the trick of hiding behind the prettiest girl on stage. It's the trick of making sure that all eyes are on you, making people question or wonder why they didn't get that moment. In situations where there's more than one or two individuals who are looking to make that sort of impression, there's often a battle of charisma. There's often a little tongue wagging at each other. There's often a little bit of, well, social combat. None of those things is a matter or factor for the kindred as they arrive at Ryan's shop. What is a factor? Who brought what? Who is adding fuel to this fire? Who is risking divesting themselves or trusting their coterie members? Because while you've all touched on, hinted at, teased, there isn't anything except for your assumptions and the fact that the police and whoever is pulling their strings are willing to come in guns blazing. There is the real fact that you all very literally nearly died finally again, because police shootings, police incidents of the nature of which you all were victimized by, are self-reported to the FBI. And if they were off book and working for someone else, there's no chance that they would have gotten any attention whatsoever. Not so much of a breach as a fuck. The end of your world, the end of all that you were, and swept under the rug as quickly and tactfully as possible. Though in this case, there is considerably more to be swept under the rug. There were actual provable kindred interactions. There were persons doing Superman level activities across streets. There were, well, looked like something right out of the idea of a movie.
You know, I would love to show how loyal I am to the coterie and how much I trust these guys by bringing my special no-no item. But you know, I'm just little old Ryan here, so I'm gonna see how much the coterie trusts me.
Oh, but we go way back.
Yeah. And yet, all Ryan has is an assumption that you guys have something. You bitches are keeping that shit wrapped up tight. Alright, well.
I keep my book with me, because we're still kind of all here. So I keep my book with me just to see if anyone's going to mention or what did they decipher.
Oh, what?
Anyone deciphered any of the information that they got so far?
So as you all arrive,
So far, no one has actually said anything.
So as you all arrive at the shop, Ryan, give us a treat as to what this actually looks like to us.
So, lots of standing glass cases, like security-esque stuff, containing various bits of baseball, sports, and other paraphernalia, signed, documented, or otherwise of value for some specific reason. There's, over there in the corner, a table display of grandma's jewelry, and in the back we have a long coat rack of all of those lovely wedding dresses that unfortunately had to be sold off to pay for the mortgage. But suffice to say, you have a bazaar of items all locked up tighter than a nun's. We'll stop there. But on display for everyone to see, because Ryan, while enjoying coveting his own items, loves to see that greed and desire in other people as well. A kind of simple open floor so that people can go around and inspect items and see what they would like to purchase from him if they do feel like purchasing something from the shop. But there is, along the back wall, a big kind of reinforced glass wall that covers the upper half of a countertop so that he can safely conduct business without anybody getting any ideas of just pulling a fast one. And by a fast one, we mean any kind of firearm. Let me see if I can get like a nice reference image for what I'm looking at.
Who tries to arrive last?
Miss Money, I try to get there first.
I live closest, so I'm not exactly trying to be as slow as possible.
Fancy has things to do, so she would not play that whole weird game of haha blast.
Here we go. This is a nice kind of mental image here. Alright, so from what I can tell, the answer to that question so far is Fancy, because she has other business to attend to at the start of the night.
No, she's trying. Fancy and Eugene relying on their patrician blood or attempting to tend business first and foremost and move on with their itinerary. There's so very many things that need to be accomplished. There's no sense of dawdling. Hurry now, let's attend to us. Let's go. This meeting is taking far too long. There's hundreds of thousands of very important deals not happening because I am here with this. Not quite so dismissive, but that very much is part of the idealized trope of the venture. There are things to accomplish. Let's accomplish those things so that we all can do greater things afterwards. And so, as Fancy and Eugene arrive fairly close upon one another, Fancy stepping out of the Uber XL, the very large SUV, black on black, the driver running around to open the door. I hope you rate me fairly highly. I'm looking forward to being able to help you again. Thank you for your service, blah, 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 blah. And Eugene driving up in his Jeep. Now, most venture and everyone who wants to represent themselves and what they are about dress in a certain status. Is this one of the nights where Eugene dresses down because he's dealing with others who he feels are beneath him, or is he attempting to dress as per his station, or where he feels his station is?
No, he's actually in a two-piece suit because he needs the mobility, wants to cover his guns and knives, and he actually gonna have to handle some business a little bit later. So he's actually dressed relatively high. Even the boots that he's wearing, the patent leather boots that he's wearing, are actually still looks comfortable enough that he could probably keep a relatively high rate of speed going if he needed to run.
So as they're arriving roughly around the same time, just after Ryan gets everything up and actually operating, so you guys have a bit of privacy inside his shop. We never did settle who was attempting to try to arrive last. Martha, Morgan. Is there a race to the bottom, or is there a let's promptly take care of this? I know some of what the coterie members are about, and let's not waste their or my time. Or is it a power play? Is it, if with me being important, fuck them, they'll wait?
Morgan would probably try to get there as promptly as possible. Partly to, get out of awkward conversations.
You know what? If no one's gonna do it, I will take the mantle. Actually, rather than arriving super early, he's just gonna let them all stand out in front of the shop for like 15 to 20 minutes before he arrives. He's actually on the corner. He did get here first. He went through the motions. Then he left, drove around the block, and has been watching you stand out in front of his pawn shop for the past 20 minutes.
Which gives us the opportunity. Which gives you three and Martha arriving the opportunity to have a small bit of a discussion. This is not the best of neighborhoods. It's not the worst. It is far from the best, but it's still not quite last place in regards to the immediate threat to your being. Yes, the usual sizing up of potential marks and victims is happening, but that happens throughout the entirety of the city. Except for save here, the scams, the cons, the robberies are a lot less polite. There's not the glitz and glams of neon lights going off every few seconds to attract the eye. There's not the slow, careful proliferation of scents designed to keep the adrenaline and taste buds watering in focus. There's not the relatively inexpensive alcohol to lubricate that willingness to risk. There's funneling you toward the more expensive while avoiding the least expensive items. But there is still that grab. There is still the very real aphorism that a fool and their money are soon to part at play. And so as you all have the opportunity of taking in the shop, the fact that there's people who are considering you and trying to decide on whether you're on the menu or are you on the sampling platter, could they perhaps get money from you or get you to, offer other services. Is there any conversation with the gathered assemblage?
Hey, Fancy, question for you. Are we planning, since we have to do that thing, are we going to meet up later to do that thing, or are we going to just kind of hope that everyone else carries the weight?
We should probably do our part to get that all planned before the others throw us under the bus as to having not taken any part in the planning. But I know we are short on time due to the fact that we have all the rest of the stuff.
That's kind of what I was thinking myself.
Morgan is probably standing there with her arms crossed, tapping a foot, and giving the vague stink eye as a familiar car drives by yet again.
Look at them, standing there waiting for me like the subjects waiting for their king. Oh, it's good to wear the crown.
Speaking of crowns, I figured you were late because you were with your mom.
He's not even out of the car yet.
Oh no, that little
I don't
dialogue.
think you
was
pulled
talking
over
to
yet.
himself as he's driving by.
So, flipping coins to see who punches him in the nose when he gets there.
He's costing me money. I don't know about you guys.
You know, it's a gesture of respect to give you guys an opportunity to confer. But you know, like maybe 5-10 minutes into their little discussion, he'll roll up. Alright, sorry about all that, everybody. I had a little bit of a business to take care of down the street.
How's your mom?
I really don't like the fact that you're taking interest in her so often.
Just wait a little bit. I'll take more of an interest. And the fact that you left us waiting is really uncouth.
You couldn't have, I don't know, showed up a little bit later. But beyond that, the fact of me being rude, I don't quite like what you're saying there about my mum. Is that a threat?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Leave
I'm
us
quite
waiting
forget,
again and
right?
we'll find out, won't we?
I'm quite looking forward to how that plays out. I've got a nice box on the inside that you'll fit in just perfectly. Now then, shall we get to business?
I thought you two were having business. I am interested in watching how this plays out.
On the
That's
street, love.
Wait, so that portion, that part is real? You really do like watching men get hot and sweaty and engage with one another? That of everything is real? I thought that would at least be part of the fake stuff that you were just putting on. That's just fucking great. Of all the things to not be a lie.
I mean, this is going to be a little more interesting than boxing is.
As he's just, you know, jangling the keys and unlocking the door, he turns over to Morgan. You have house trained them, ain't you, love?
What's that supposed to mean?
Nancy does not wait. She goes under Ryan's arm and pushes the door open, even though his arm and the keys are still attached.
You know, it's considered rude. But, you know, such is many things nowadays. Everybody, welcome to my little shop. Now get inside before the neighbors start saying things that they shouldn't.
No, they already most assuredly have. There's no way that Brian didn't realize in his circuit around the block the slow, constant push as several of the local gang leaders, several of the local mafia leaders happen to be in places where they shouldn't. Closing the deal, being close enough to view and get a view of what's going on while decisions are made as to how they might go about. Well, you know, you get the idea.
And just offhandedly, as everybody gets inside and he closes the door. Hey, so if a little bit of a gang shows up and tries to rob the place, you all are good with dealing with them, yeah? I mean, I know the other day I saw one of you get a chunk out of somebody, so at least I know you're capable.
I mean, I could grab a bite to eat.
Alright, well, that's good to know. It might not happen. It might happen. This is a pawn store after all. For those of you that can't enjoy a little bit of the good fisticuffs, there's a big glass wall back there that you can stand behind. Now then, first matter of business, has anyone brought anything they'd like to talk about? And or got any information on the objects that we're searching for? Because I don't have a single piece of them. And yet, we're still getting fucking ran around town. There's gotta be something going on.
Yeah, from what I can figure out, these books, now I could be wrong, mind you, these books all have detailed, exquisitely detailed histories on most of the city's population.
Well, that's...
He looks over at Spare Ryan's.
I believe we've discussed the book, yeah, and we've expressed that there's a little bit of concern that there might be a book or a box containing books involving the rest of us here, which is another reason why I very, very much believe we need to go and get them. But Pierre, please show me that book right here next to my copy machine.
As they're talking, Morgan will wander off and look at one of the wedding dresses. Ryan?
Yes?
Why do you have my mom's wedding dress?
That's a lovely piece. A little too short for me, I'm not gonna lie. As for why it's here, I've not an idea, love. Maybe your mum ran into financial troubles. There was a rather gnarly gentleman that sold it to me, if I remember correctly. I thought it was weird. Maybe he had gotten rid of a... Well, not gotten rid of, but potentially just divorced a woman.
Or he could have got rid of her.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It is Vegas after all.
Yeah. Desert is open 24 hours.
Yeah, okay.
Do you
Alright.
it?
I mean, it would look nice in my trophy room.
It's nice in my trophy room.
I have more trophies. They're actual.
Look, alright, we can make a deal for it. It's a lovely piece. I've kept it in grand condition. You're just gonna have to... Oh. Wait a second. Oh my god, it just occurred to me that I have mixed up Joji and Ryan. I've been talking about this like it's a fucking pawn shop this entire time. He's a loan shark
Working out of a pawn shop.
I mean, you have everything you need there at the pawn shop. If they're short on money.
So much. I can't believe I fucked up that bad.
It's not. You're perfectly fine. Working out of a pawn shop goes perfectly well with Hughes and Son, Bondsman, and Loan Enterprise.
Okay, well, it's a loan business with a pawn shop, I guess, attached to it, which is just an excuse for Ryan to show off his trophies.
There you go.
I'm gonna go slam my head against the wall after this session for being that fucking dumb, but continuing on.
I mean, please don't. She will just shake her head. Right. So we were talking about things before I got
A
distracted.
lot of things, yes.
And just kind of throwing it out there, did you and that other guy find box that you guys were looking for?
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Right.
I was looking for somebody.
When this whole thing began, when we first met and started this odyssey,
Okay.
you and the blood guy was looking for a box in the garage. Did you guys ever find it?
No, unfortunately, the dollar store FBI showed up and started problems. We didn't even make it to my garage.
Makes me wonder what happened there. Because if he believed it was there, and whatever happened, then makes me wonder what happened preceding that.
You are making absolutely no sense, but at the same time, if we could get this all together, I have a meeting with a person who may be able to track the financials of the person who was rich enough to sick the cops on us, so that we can trace it back to who may or may not have done this.
Well, more than happy to speed this along. I'm really just waiting on the general populace to get a plan together. I mean, I'm looking towards getting a hold of Immortal, getting from him what the fuck he done, or what the fuck he did with it, and then once I've got that information... Pardon, what?
Reverberation.
Oh. Alright, well, getting from him the information and such, and then going and collecting the rest of these boxes.
I mean, it would also be nice to know who set fake fire to my shop and then set off actual car bombs behind my shop.
I mean, we've got a bit of an impression about that, don't we?
Well, I mean, I've seen a face, but if they can, make illusions like fire, was it really their face?
That is true. I mean, it's something to look into, certainly. So, our goals are as follows. Find information on the boxes, find information on who's coming after the boxes, and then garnering said boxes to use them? Or are we taking the poor man's way out?
Not gonna lie, having a favor or two in the bank is always a good thing.
True, but as a counterpoint, waking up dead is always not fun.
Why would you wake up dead?
Don't we do that on a nightly basis anyway?
Sending us cops and cops and cops to kill us, and when we get more boxes, that's gonna give more and more people impetus to send more and more people to kill us.
Well, see, that's the thing. I believe that there's a critical mass here. There's a certain amount of stuff that they can do before they're reaching, well, nearly breaching the masquerade. And sure, yes, they've shown an absolute lack of care for it so far, but the longer this goes on, the more eyes are going to be on it, and unless it's the prince himself, there's going to be bite back for it.
Yeah, but counterpoint, yes, there is a critical mass, but if every one of the important and unimportant kindred in the city all know that we have boxes, what would they all do collectively to get it back?
See, that's another thing. That's another thing. That's why we have to tie ourselves to a stronger entity. Have you never read the Rules of Power?
Why would I do that?
I'm just saying.
While they're having this conversation, Clancy is going to look over and find Ryan's landline and dial Corinne.
Find my what now?
Landline.
Your landline. Okay. Yeah, no. It's over there on the wall. You're good to go.
Just saying, there's an equal chance of that going right and the equal chance of it going wrong, because if the whole city knows that we have detailed information on them and all of their people, he flips to a page of one of the kindreds who he knows, but not really well, and shows how their whole lineage, like all of the people that they meet, know it. If you had all of this on every primogen, how far would they go to make sure that we don't have that anymore?
I'm fully aware of your concerns, but at the same time, if we did have that information, how much power would we have? We could trade bits and pieces of it out for favors, for protection, for the things that we need in order to keep ourselves from being drowned. There's no point in tossing it all into the flames, is what I'm saying. And we've got to go out and collect it, because we don't know which of those has our information in it. I don't know about you, but I don't like the idea of that book floating about, you know.
I just wanted everyone to know the possible downturns of it.
And what are you saying there?
That we could all wake up dead.
No, not you. I heard you. You're rather loud. There's some of the other one.
I was just saying, I've got enough secrets that I don't want them getting out, so that's why I'm along.
You are certainly a unique, then. It's unfortunately a rather convenient and common case for the people of the night, he says while looking over towards the other Ryan, that we have a bunch of secrets and things that we'd like to protect and we'd like other people to not know about. Speaking of which, he turns over to you, Jade. Be quiet with the comments on my mum, and please don't take any more interest in her, because you're already on a line.
You kept us waiting. It's only a joke. I'm not planning on.
I don't joke.
Introducing her
I
to
don't
the
joke when it
nightlife.
comes to my mother. Now I hope you can respect
I
that in the
will
future.
refrain. By the way, you gave me the wrong book. By the way,
I gave you whatever the fucking book was up on the shelf.
that's the book that was on the shelf was Gambling Debt. You gave me this book of hell.
Look, alright, I'm sorry that the blind woman gave me the wrong book.
It's never happened before.
Never happened before.
What? I didn't know your fucking business was going on. All I know is she said this was left for somebody, and boom, there you were. Maybe it wasn't the wrong book. Maybe somebody meant to get it into your hands.
Oh no, it was the wrong book.
Are you sure about that?
Well, I'm losing money because I don't have my book. So yes, I'm
You
positive.
have a
No.
book that could potentially get you a lot of money.
So does this mean we need to take a field trip to said garage or person's house?
If we're going over to my mum's
I was
house,
thinking
I'm
so.
going, and the rest of you can attend to whatever business you've got. That, or you can sit in the car and wait for me. You treat that entire lot as hallowed ground. What is it you're saying, Eugene?
Give me the book. Give me the book so I can go collect on the debt.
Alright, fine. As I said, we can go visit my mum. You all, on the other hand, if you can't stay in the car, be as respectful as possible.
So as the conversation is actually, and plans are actually in the offing, who is Fancy calling?
You went to call Corinne.
There's a sound that all persons in Las Vegas know, and that's the sound of a casino in full bloom. Even the quiet ones where the full blaring lights and sounds aren't happening every couple of seconds, there is a presence to that many people, even if it's nearly empty in one place at one time. There's a sound to all of the electronics buzzing in the background. That invisible noise to most that stands out to every Las Vegasite to let you know that you are in or near an actual casino floor. The sliding of chips across the felt, the slamming of cards, the spinning of the roulette wheel. It's a sound that you all know as much as a child would know the sound of their mother's beating heart. So as the line connects and you hear a relatively deep female voice on the other side talking to someone else in the room, you know what sort of room that is. And to your dismay, you hear, "This is Karina. Who are you calling for?"
It's fancy. Have you gone into the academy this evening?
Oh, you're calling for Miss Berkeley.
Mm-hmm.
Hi.
It's their phone, isn't it?
It was her phone. It is presently in my possession.
Who is this?
Corinna, we're mutuals, you might say. The persons that you have had a run-in with. I've had several run-ins with, and I believe that Miss Berkeley and yourself, the Fancy Fisher Academy, and the illustrious Miss Fisher's granddaughter, and I could come to an agreement. This is Miss Fisher's granddaughter, Fancy the Third, correct? Hello?
What agreement is it that you feel we should come to?
Well, Miss Berkeley and her errant child came to my attention as persons who might know what took place in the swatting of the Fisher Academy the other night. And me being a concerned citizen and patron of the arts, with a little digging, I find that, well, this isn't the conversation we should probably be having over the phone, is it? Here, let me give you an address, and you, myself, and Miss Berkeley can sit and have a lovely conversation. While I have a suite not far from the Black Dog, I'm currently residing at the Venetian. My suite number is 1472. Do arrive fairly quickly. Accidents are prone to happen this late in the evening, and me and Mrs. Berkeley have been speaking for a very, very long while today. It's been quite tiresome. Should I order you something? An hors d'oeuvre, an appetizer? The steaks here are simply to die for. It's almost as if they cut them from the cow in their kitchens. Not that there'd be a cow in the kitchen. I don't know where that's coming from. But I'm a little famished and a little hungry. So I'm going to find a bite to eat, and I just want to know if, being a good host, should I order something for you?
And she knows what's going on. This person is trying to make threats, so she is trying to keep her cool right now, as Corinne is very important to her. And the others in the room, I don't know if they're paying attention to her or not, but if they are, her eyes go dark and her jaw tightens. No, I don't think I'll be all that hungry when I arrive. But I will be there soon. And she hangs up. They took her. But I'm going to break somebody's neck. There's one thing I cannot stand. It's putting your hands on somebody that does not belong to you. Does anybody know a Karena?
Does the name sound familiar?
That's a good question. You still gotta go ahead and roll your charisma and streetwise.
A charisma and streetwise.
Yes. Yes. 2 years ago, there was a crew of individuals who robbed and got away with robbing the Black Dog not once, but 3 times. There's this old boxer, David Allen Wells Newman, an old boxer from back in the 70s, who was a huge thing for a while. He was an up-and-coming bantamweight champion. He supposedly had hands made of actual iron. He literally, and as far as anyone can tell, killed 2 men in the ring. There was Asha, who's was a purported genius when it came to the electronics, and then there was their leader, Corinna, a former New York connected, everyone says mafia princess, but no one says which family she was connected with, and they got away with robbing the Black Dog, which, as Ryan knows, is absolutely impossible. They close ranks like no one's business. They have even help all of their line cooks and line staff. They do their abject best to make sure that no one targets them, and those that do target them don't live to see much longer. Yet Corinna and her crew were able to get away with it several times. Well, at least that's what the gossip says. Word on the street.
She's the chick who robbed the black dog like, what, 3 times, 4 times? Something like that?
Wait a fucking second. What?
I mean, people could be exaggerating, I guess.
There's always some level of exaggeration, of course.
But yeah, robbed and got away. Clearly.
Alright, well, I hear 2 things in that sentence that don't make much sense, but... Such is life, I suppose. If they've managed to survive having that fucking wondrous story as their call to fame, then I suppose there's at least something to say. Even if they didn't actually rob the place and get away with it, they've survived saying they did.
Which makes them no small issue.
Yeah. Just... Oh. Oh, wait a sec. Fuck!
But
Who else do we know robbed someone they shouldn't have been able to rob and got away with it?
The immortal.
Yeah.
But that's the problem. Because they have Corinne. And Corinne is our link to the immortal.
I'm just saying, it's coming off like an awful big, unfortunate coincidence, isn't it?
So what's the odds of them going to want to get us to bird dog these dumbass books? Because if they are all in cahoots and they know that we got some of it, then ... the dots sort of connect that either we're gonna have to end up getting them the rest of the books, or you know.
They also knew about the swamp. That's
and sports cards.
What?
Look, my thing is, if we're gonna go after the boxes, let's go after the boxes for our own purposes rather than having somebody else tell us to do it, eh?
I agree. If we're going to dance with the devil, we might well do it on our own terms, not because they want us to, and then they reap the rewards, and we take all their bruises.
Aye, I agree. I mean, we're quite a large gathering of semi-influential individuals. I mean, if we put our minds to it, we can come up with quite the fucking plan now, can't we? At the very least, if we dedicate our power towards making sure that we can get these things and survive getting these things, I'm confident in us.
the problem. Is I don't have a lot of time. And think about it this way. If you called somewhere, or you called your mother's house, and expected your mother to answer the phone, and then instead it was this person saying that they were kind of hungry and could use something to eat while having your mother captive, how would you feel?
Well, how I'd feel is one thing, what I'd do is another, and what I'd do is go kill them.
Can we pull that off?
I don't see any reason why we couldn't.
Well, we probably need to get some information on her before we plan her assassination, because we want as little blowback on that as possible.
Look, alright, if they're in the possession of somebody that's very important to a member of this coterie, we do need to work on not only freeing that individual, but dealing with the person who dared step against us. So if we can get information on them, that's fine. And if we don't want to go up against them and bloody our fists ourselves, we can always spread the rumour that they've got the boxes. Wouldn't that work? I mean, right now we've already seen the links that these people are going to over them.
That works. I can work with that.
And then once we've got your precious thing freed, I'm sure they'll have more problems than they can handle. And they won't really have the time to come fuck with us now, will they? Of course, that's a temporary fix. I'm more of a man of permanent solutions. So you need to tell me what you're comfortable with there, Fancy. Do you want us to go and get them, or do you want us to comply with what is effectively a coercion-based demand? And given my field of expertise, I'll tell you, coercion-based demands don't stop once they start.
She takes a very deep, calming breath. And
You're taking him out, right?
Yeah, you're
I
taking
think
them out,
we
right?
need to rescue We need to rescue Corinne.
Alright, well,
However we do that, if we have to lie to them, and that's fine. If we have to, whatever we need to do to get her out of there and fuck up afterwards. But for the meantime, I don't have. They're expecting me right now. They said they have a hotel room near the Black Dog, of all fucking places.
I really don't think that's a good idea, going near the Black Dog for several fucking reasons. But we've got to do what we've got to do. Any ideas here? I can... would you prefer us going with you? I would prefer you have more than one person with you.
Okay. As much as I hate to do this, I'll put my money making on the back burner. If we're gonna go together, it seems like that would be probably better. But if we're gonna go, we're gonna have to do a coordinated sort of thing. We're gonna have to actually work together to get this done, because doing it piecemeal is not gonna work.
Alright, Fancy, one last time just so that I can write this down, and what's the name of this person?
Rin is the person we're rescuing.
Alright, we're rescuing Rin, and who fucking has them? Hello?
It sounds like it's the same name, honestly. That would be bad. I think it's just
Corinna.
Morgan, what's her name? Corinna. Yeah, Corinna.
Alright. Alright.
You're too far from the mark.
Do you think you could spell that out for me and play? Text chat, please.
Tina and Corinne?
Now, something to consider here. And as I was mentioning before, the connection. Thank you. As I was mentioning before, in their connection, this Corinna individual has a very similar story to what we're seeing in the Immortal. It might unfortunately be that, you know, your precious individual might be very well tied to somebody that's getting groomed to join us. Might even be getting groomed by this Corinna.
To can I face palms for a minute? The immortal is Karen's stepson.
Yep.
So that is how she is aware of him. And that is how I got the book that she brought in yesterday. Because he had it and told her to hold on to it for him. And she didn't trust it, so she left it be.
Oh, that's a very unfortunate scenario, actually. Fucking Miro making me dread my decisions. Alright. Yeah. Yep. As I asked before. We're going with you then, yes?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm
Then
not going to force anybody to go, but yes.
No, the only reason why I would have any kind of trepidation here is because I've got a lot of bad ties with the Black Dog. I can get to work trying to. I'll contact my person and see if I can't get them to spread word throughout their little connections that this kind of individual might be in possession of some of that very prized information.
Well, not for nothing. Ryan says, one of the many things that we learned to do on the movie sets was to eavesdrop so that we know when it's time for us to make our moves. It's very important because technology always fails. I heard something about the Venetian. So why are you guys preparing to go to the Black Dog?
I was told by Fancy that the location they want to meet up is next to the Black Dog.
No,
She said she has
actually,
a
he has a
room
point.
near the Black Dog.
Yeah, there we go. Near the Black Dog.
Near, not in.
No,
Near.
I know. I never said in. I just have issues with the Black Dog, and I'd like to not be anywhere near them. Or are we all fucked up, and he heard it right, and it's the Venetian that it's near?
I think it's
No,
in the Venetian.
She has a room in a suite in the Venetian near the Black Dog. That's what she said to me.
Yeah, well then. What's your suggestion there? Since you brought up that it was in the Venetian, I assume you've got some kind of plan or idea that came to mind? Or were you just trying to make sure that we understood it was in the Venetian?
He looks at Morgan.
She will give him an encouraging nod.
He shrugs and like, okay. Morgan here has a slew of crowns, tiaras, shoes, and the like from the pageants that take place almost every night somewhere here in Vegas. Most of them happen in and around the Venetian. She has, because of the relationship she has with her business partner Travis, going anywhere near the Black Dog is bad news for us, or more specifically for her. And as far as the Venetian, there's this pickup artist, Ash, who knows and deals with this chubby, Jack Black, almost pink-haired son of a bitch. He reminds me of the guys that do those little movies, those casting couch things. Big gray beard, pinkish hair, Kirk Bryan Wood or something like that. And they have connections to the Venetian and the pageant circuit.
I'm not gonna lie.
Despite her, Fancy, despite her anger, covers her mouth and hides a chuckle because she knows exactly who they're talking about. That's Kirkwood.
Oh, I'm not gonna lie, from the description you've given me, that he's near pageants, it all sounds really interesting.
I'm sort of perverted, if you ask me, but whatever.
Yeah, I don't like the guy. He seems like and he stops and looks at Morgan and the rest of you. He seems like one of you guys, one of you Lestats.
I don't know how to take that.
How about this? How does that get us closer to our goal? Use or manipulate him.
I mean, if we're
to
talking
get us
about
closer to
connections
our goal.
within the Venetian, I know the cage boss myself.
Well, that's useful.
Well, the cash cage boss, mind you. We need to figure out how all these pieces can be used to our actual benefit here. We've got this individual that says they've got a room in the Venetian. We've got all these tokens within the Venetian that we might be able to employ, but to what end? Are we trying to get rid of this person? Or are we trying to do something else?
Get her out, and then we can deal with the other person later. We can deal with that at our leisure.
Yeah, does she have
an out?
Does she have your did she say whether or not your person, your whatever they are, is going to be there at the Venetian with them, or are they going to be held off site or something like that?
I heard her muffled in the background. She said something about they had been talking for most of the night and it was getting a little tiring, so that's why she was trying to hurry me along, trying to reiterate that Herman was in danger if I didn't show up quickly.
Alright, well.
Alright.
We know that this person's in the Venetian. We know that your loved one is in the Venetian, or probably in the Venetian. So, what are we going to do with this information? Do you want to just go talk to them now, see what the situation is, and then we can react later? Do you want to try and just Ocean's 11 this shit and break out your loved one, then deal with the fucking person later? What are we doing? What are we doing?
I am all for trying to talk to them first. If that does not work, we need to have a safe word. She kind of head tilts. And then that means bust in and fuck their shit up.
Alright, so that's neat. We can work off that. To be fair though, I will double down on the idea that regardless of what happens tonight, that person, so long as they're not so long as things don't shake out that they might potentially become a long-term asset to us, we do need to make an example. Moving on though.
I'm good with that. Well, before we do that, we probably need to get some more detailed information besides her just being a good thief.
Yeah, you don't just walk into things half off.
Take care of her. Yes, but we need to know what her connections are, because I don't want to remove her from the board only to find out that she's like the prince's niece or some crazy thing that will drive us into a really hard situation.
Right,
that doesn't make any money, so I'm interested in that.
Alright, well, I'll contact my contact in the Venetian, get what information I can about this particular subject from her, then, you know, we can do that on our way to the Venetian, then once we get there we can operate based on that. As for the safe word, fucking tiara, there we go. Just say tiara somewhere in the conversation and we'll know that's go time.
I'll go in the room.
What now?
Are we all going to privy to their conversation?
I mean, I suppose that depends on Fancy and her little, intimidator? No, what's the word for it? Coercer? Extorter. There we go. And her extortionist.
The reason why I asked is because if she's there, great, and we can just get her and get out. If she's not there, we need to find some way to have someone look for where that person is so that we can get them quietly, and then we can say, okay, we're done, and then Fancy can tell her to go fuck herself. That's my thought.
I'm not the only one with connections within the place, so your name's Ryan too. That's neat. Ryan, brought up a good point. Morgan has connections as well within the building, so Morgan can use her connections to try and find the individual. I'll use mine to try and figure out about the extortionist. We'll meet up, depending on whether or not they want us all to be in the room, or they only want it to be a 1v1, we'll figure out from there. If the word Tiara is mentioned, we jump in and engage in the old fuck you fisticuffs, I don't know.
If no one's else in the room, her saying Tiara won't really help.
Are you saying you can't hear through a wooden wall? Never mind, this is Vegas, what am I talking about?
We're downstairs.
Good and making sure you can't hear what's going on next door.
It is no. It's a great idea. I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. We may have to Ocean 11 this and get it done quietly and disappear.
I mean, yeah, no. We don't know the situation until then, so overly planning it is just going to lead to chaos, because once again, no plan survives contact with the enemy.
Storyteller, is there a possibility that we would security guard?
Morgan, is this the way that you all deal with business?
Kinda.
Normally, no.
I mean, it's kind of like, what's the saying? Too many cooks in the kitchen?
Look, this is Fancy's situation. I'm more than happy to go with whatever fucking plan she comes up with. I'm just giving out information to work with based on however you perceive it.
This is worse than a movie set. I'm gonna step out and have a cigarette.
Fancy, make the call. How would you like us to proceed with this one?
One of you give me your cell phone, and then I can use that to sound the alarm if I need it. But one of you is going in with me, and I'd probably rather have Ryan. Because Eugene, I love you to pieces, but you're a little bit hot-headed.
Alright, I'll go in there. We'll get an emergency contact number for Eugene, and we're good to go.
Copy this number down. This is my cell phone. I'll keep it with me tonight instead of in the car where it normally is.
There we go. And then I suppose once we've gotten your loved one out, everything's good to go.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's no guarantees that Ash is actually going to be there.
That's true, that's true.
But worst case scenario, I can certainly get myself into pageant areas.
Which are around the Venetian, as we've mentioned. Yeah, no. Well, we'll see what happens, and we'll adapt on the fly.
To the car.
To the car!
And Martha, having listened to all of this ebb and flow, this building one brick atop the other, atop this house of cards, with such plans laid out, such generalized ideas, is there anything that they're adding to attempt to help clarify or render it down to a emulsion or solution that is a little more clean, a little less contrived, a little less tentative and up in the air. If this, then that. If this, then that. As a doctor, having a plan and adapting is fine, but having a definitive plan is what she's been trained to do.
Yeah. I think this is one that might have to be played by ear. I think there's too much stuff we don't know. I think if we had time to properly step the place out, we could probably make a plan, but I think there's much more of a plan we can make than kind of scout and act at the same time.
All right. Heads up, I do intend to make the 2 different calls. One of them to Natalia, so I can garner some information on this individual, and one of them to Aubrey, to let her know, hey, start disseminating this rumor that X individual has some of the boxes. Has some of that shit that everybody keeps running around trying to kill each other for.
And what call were you making outside of Aubrey? I like Aubrey. We understand Aubrey. Aubrey is the master chameleon who knows and can get in most places. What is it that you were making the second call for?
To Natalia, and it specifically see like what information she had, because this is effectively a guest within the Venetian, if I'm to understand this correctly. She's got a room there. If she's a local, and if she's an upstanding and well-connected local, has most likely come across the Venetian a few times. So I'm trying to get like what they know about her, what her mannerisms are, what like her overall mood generally is, whether or not she's like a hothead or a calm and collected, whether or not she's prone to violence, whether or not she's got some dirty habits that they've had to clean up over time, that kind of stuff. Basically just trying to, because I know Natalia wouldn't have kindred-based information, like not supernatural shit, but I'm trying to get a grasp on the person that we're about to go negotiate with.
Understandable. If only you had access to, well, direct access to certain networks. So we're going to have a role for that, because the Venetian is part of a good deal of their employees and those who frequent it are in fact part of the down and out chapter of here in Las Vegas. So while that is percolating in our backgrounds, it is 13 after the hour. Let's take a quick 10 and be back here at 23 after the hour.
Feels good.
Good. See you in a bit.
Alrighty.
Howdy ho, good neighbors. Who's back?
I'm still here.
Yes.
Good deal, good deal.
So I think it's established that this coterie has far too many ideas and far too little in the way of unified direction.
A lot of pokers on fire.
Just saying, but killing or maiming or otherwise making an example of those that would dare try to threaten you and your loved ones, it's the way to go about things. Speaking of which, hi Eugene.
Me.
Neon, you made it back yet?
Yeah.
Hoorah. Excellent. So when we last left and stepped away for our little intermission, as it were, the coterie were loading up to rock and ride towards the Venetian. Calls were being made, and because of what Ryan had already placed Aubrey on to gather information and stay low and stay out of the way of whatever was going on, she was attempting to do just that. The call to Aubrey is met with the sound of a car traveling at pace. There's lots of long stretches of just highway and desert in and around Las Vegas. Those places have their own inimitable sound that lets you know, just from the quietude, the lack of street noise, the lack of what sounds like just a million people murmuring to themselves all at once. Instead of screaming into the void, everyone excitedly whispers and wishes, and you can hear a million and one, oh my god, just let me hit my point, just let me get my flush, just let me get my pair, just let me. And it's that casts a pall over the entirety of Las Vegas. Everyone's wishing, hoping, fantasizing, and that seems to be the easiest way of knowing that you are actually in Vegas, save when you have been here a while, you've been in the Sin City and had the opportunity of taking in all of the untouched and unblemished quietude just outside the city limits, just to the south heading towards Prim, just to the north, just outside of where everybody and their mother are just clogging the airways with all of their wishes, their wants, their hopes. There's a beautiful patch of relatively untouched and unvarnished nature just north down 95. There's a beautiful patch just to the east, just past where the Westin sits atop Lake Las Vegas. It's a beautiful area, and it's inhospitable to standard modern living. Water is king. Dehydration is a real threat. And the chill in the night is a real presence unto itself. So hearing roads on asphalt, well, tires on asphalt moving, clear that the windows are down, when Aubrey answers, yeah, boss.
Yeah, lovely. I know you've got one job going on, but while you're going about and asking questions, you think you can put out a little bit of a rumor for me?
I can work on it. I'm on my way now to meet. I know you told me to keep my head low, and I'm trying to stay off the grid and stay away from things, but there's a guy that I'm meeting up at the Westin out by Lake Las Vegas, Mr. Baxter. He came across a couple of boxes that I think may be part of what you're getting into.
Alright, well, just keep safe, and I guess don't let the husband know you're meeting strange men.
Oh no, who do you think is riding shotgun on this? The kids are with his mom, and you know I hate getting out of the city. So,
I see, yeah.
So we're gonna go meet this Baxter guy. We're gonna play, an indecent proposal situation and see if he falls for it.
Alright, well, while you're out and about doing that, there's somebody that I want to have a rather particularly bad time. So, if you can subtly put out this Karina individual, she's got connections to the Black Dog. I think that's her call to fame. If you can put out that she may or may not have gotten her hands on a few of these boxes.
Oh, wait, Karina at the Black Dog, like Karina, who's been trying to take down the Black Dog and everything connected with it for years.
Well, that's a bit of information that I didn't know. Yeah, no, thank you. That one.
Oh. You really are getting into the deep end of things.
Well, you can't find buried treasure if you don't go to the bottom of the ocean, you know?
Yeah, you're pretty low dealing with that one. Rumors were that she is Las Vegas' Miss Elizabeth Bathory, bathing in the blood of non-virgins to stay as vilely attractive as she is. She used to be a model or a beauty queen or some shit.
Then she'll be in good company. A lot of the people I'm traveling with are in that particular field.
Yeah, well, you know, it's a dog-eat-dog world out there.
You fucking... I know what you're talking about, you piece of shit. Yeah, well, that is the truth of it. Thankfully, I hope to be the bigger dog in this engagement.
Ryan, please don't. Be safe. Keep a witness. And whatever you do, don't get close enough to get touched. The bantamweight champion of 1982 is known to be with her.
What?
Yeah. David the Assassin Wells Newman, 1982 bantamweight champion, was set up for a national title, but his love of women got in the way. He slept with or beat up his manager's wife and girlfriend.
That's lovely. I'll try not to get touched then.
Runs the Wells Newman gym. You know, the current females.
Oh, okay. That rings more of a bell. Sorry.
Yeah, run the Wells Newman gym. The current welterweight women's champion, Danny, is his daughter.
I think I've got a few bits signed by her actually in my shop.
Yeah, I'm sending Bob back to help you out. Where are you meeting Corinna?
It's gonna be in the Venetian.
Oh, great. You go from playing with the Nazis to playing with the fascist Italians. Great. You just are gonna be the death of me. And she hangs up the phone.
Alright, everybody. This situation kinda sucks. He says as he's just... I assume everybody's moving in their own fucking vehicles?
Thought you were driving everybody.
Oh, well, as he's talking to the rest of the people in his car, just... So... Yeah, no, apparently this individual has been working towards, like, completely collapsing the Black Dog Saloon. Did I call it a saloon? Why did I call it a saloon?
Either way, targets the homeless a lot. I know that. They end up in my clinic a lot.
Well, suffice to say, it's not going to be a fun scenario. And she's apparently got a very violent sort as a bodyguard. Perhaps conversations might be in order rather than just immediately going to fisticuffs. Well, think whatever power is above that we are reasonable people.
We are.
I don't know if that was an agreement or a question.
Both? Why can't it be both?
Yeah, both is good. But suffice to say, my agents are in action, and that little bit should be spread about soon enough. Though, that does add a few more kinks in the rope. Nobody.
Yes, sir.
Are the Kindred of Las Vegas aware that the Black Dog is connected to werewolves?
What is your cult?
Not high enough. It's gonna be 1.
Werewolves? That's rumors. No one's actually ever seen a werewolf. There's rumors, of course. Like, you don't fuck with the Black Dog, they might eat you alive. It's for one of the few non-connected with the larger, wider, mythologized Cosa Nostra. They are pretty fucking ardently all about their people. They're like a mafia run by hippies that care about their employees. Supposedly. Allegedly.
Gotcha. Real tight-knit community over there.
Yep. Once you're in with the black dog, you're in with the black dog. And once you're out with the black dog, there's very little they won't do to ruin your reputation and your face.
The reputation is fine, but not the face.
Okay, within a cult of 3, do I know that there are werewolves?
You know for a fact that if you get caught in the black dog, you're probably going to die in the black dog. The black dog is the place where kindred disappear and no one questions because of the reputation of the black dog. You know that there is something darkly malevolent and predatory against the kindred at the black dog. You know that the rumors are probably true, that they really do eat their enemies.
And in between all of that, he's gonna be like, he's gonna look over his shoulders just a little bit, keep popping forward, so he's making sure not to run into anything while driving. Just, by the way, Morgan, I think that Baxter fellow of yours may or may not have gotten himself involved in this box situation as well. My agent's in the midst of going and trying to finagle that information out of him.
Well, that could take care of a problem for me.
What do you mean?
There's sort of a love-hate relationship there going on.
I don't think Aubrey's going to fucking kill him. As long as you've known me, do you think I would send out a hit squad?
No, not a hit squad, but I wouldn't put it past him to be trying something underhanded.
Well, I mean, if she does get any information that might help you put him out of your mind, then I'll pass it along.
And as you're thinking very much on that, what did she say she was going to discuss with him?
A dirty deal type scenario. I believe the exact words alluded to something a bit more physical. Yeah, no, I've said that he's got himself a hold of the box. Didn't I? I thought I said that.
No.
I said he's gotten himself involved in this box situation.
Oh, yes.
I guess that's not the same as saying that he has a box. You know, you're right.
Right.
Yeah, no, Baxter does in fact, at least from what we're hearing, have a box.
I wonder if that's the box from the safe.
Baxter
If it is, it's missing something.
Baxter has a box, and last night a constant loser came in saying that Baxter had negotiated with him and tried to rob him, which means he effectively did. He got pennies on the dollar for the value of what was inside, and that the second haul that he brought was considerably more valuable, at least as far as he understood, which is what Morgan ended up with. The second. And while these conversations are happening and you're well on your way to the Venetian, Eugene, Fancy, the Garouge is seconds closer, which feels like it's bearing down your neck. Corinne is in the grip and grasp of someone who, well, they shouldn't be. And the night is petering away. What is it, if anything, that you two patricians, you two blue bloods, are doing on this car ride towards the Venetian, which is a known center of non-blue blood authority?
Thinking about the Grusia of Earth, secondly, trying to make sure that weapons are ready, check and trying to connect the dots between this lady, the person that Fancy's trying to save, and the odds of how to get out of this without being killed. That order.
I see. So, Fancy.
Fancy is having a hard time worrying about anything else but Corinne. She knows they have to plan for the Garuja, so there is that part of her that usually helps her break down choreography and remember steps and things. She's thinking of places to hold it, people they'll have to reach out to make sure everything goes smoothly. But her main thought and the main thing that's on her mind is Corinne.
Okay. So, lost in thought, predominantly about the Garuja, which is, to be expected. It is a major event for the patricians of the city as a whole. And it's more targeted towards either helping non-status blue bloods rise and come to notice of those above their station, or fall so that they never have to worry about being of value to anyone, including themselves, ever again. So, in other words, fate of the world, but no worries, no pressure when it comes to the Garuja. However, being lost in thought and thinking of the Garuja brings up the fact that 6 years ago, Shlomo Rosti, the head of the operation and outfit that runs the Venetian, had Eugene staked. And if not for several careful, constant negotiations, because of transgressing on the Venetian grounds, Eugene wouldn't be here to experience all of those Garujas he's managed to survive. Even longer ago than that, Fancy's life had a different track until running afoul of the powers that be that operate the Venetian. The Venetian very much is the center of anti-blue blood establishment, and they have just as long of a history in Vegas as every member of the Blue Bloods. They were embedded and invested in the city far longer. In fact, for a very long while, everyone, every kindred that came into being in Vegas believed that Shlomo was the Prince of Vegas. As far as most people are concerned, it is still a coin toss as to who actually is really, truly the true power in Vegas. Is it Shlomo and his band, or is it Benedict? One can't truly do without the other, and neither can truly get rid of the other. And yet, while Benedict is the prince, as far as every Towerite is concerned, it's not necessarily true in practice. The Venetian is the center of the Hakata nation in Vegas, with roots throughout the entirety of the city. Enemies to or allies against nearly every kindred that exists inside of Vegas in one shape, fashion, or form. And as you all pull up to the grand estate that is the Venetian, as you pull up to the herald of all of Las Vegas's former glitz and glam, and as acting as the middle point joining the past and the present, it is in fact quite obvious. It sits there dancing on everyone's tongue as the valets rush out to park the car, because no one uses the self-park. You're going to be paying through the nose, and it's far easier and far better on the pocket and the sense of safety for whatever belongings are in your vehicle to use the valet. So as you all pull up to the valet station and waiting your turn in line, and the valets are moving here willy-nilly to and fro, of course glad handing and getting their tips, typically in advance, to assure good parking. Who else? What other entity and organization would have funded with endless pockets the collection of dirt on every or most Camarilla kindred? Who else would have the endless or seemingly endless ability to generate enough money to buy off, purchase, rent the mass of forces necessary to conduct a near citywide search in right under the prince's nose, right under the scourge's nose, right under everyone's ability to stop? Who else? What other source of power is there really that could compete with the tower besides the unified Hakata of Vegas? Cutouts, intermediaries aside, as you look at the Venetian and how in one shape, fashion, or form it has affected each and every one of your existences, from its losers and occasionally winners having to generate income through using both the loans from Brian and trading in the property to Morgan, to those who lose enough where the only thing they have of value are their bodies and their minds, and they trade those in and come into the care of Martha. The big bright shows that have all of the young starlets and stars clamoring for attention and the opportunity to make it to the stage, any of the stages there in the Venetian, that generates most of the income for Fancy, let alone Fancy's ties to what is at the heart of the Venetian. And then all of those welchers, all of those bad luck 2-time, 3 times, 100-time losers that help support Eugene's business, those debts outstanding that come from gambling and risking. While each casino is its own empire, some empires are stronger than others. And adding injury to insult, while the Venetian is the enemy, an ally, and thorn in the side, and heavy crown-wearing king of Vegas in many facets, it is in fact an ardent enemy, a non-supporter of nearly everything that happens in and around the Black Dog.
Which explains why Kareen is sheltering here. With her very much not so love-hate, strictly hate relationship with the Black Dog. That, oh, fuck. Do we think that Kareen's working with the Hikata?
Yeah, that's why I was wondering what sect she's with. Because that could be useful, because attacking her head on would bring us in direct opposition to the Hikata, which would be fun.
Yeah, but you know, or rather, yeah, but you know, if we do decide to make an enemy of Hikata, we could just support the prince in this.
I mean, I don't care because they staked me, so I don't give a shit.
Alright, well, you know, we'll see how this goes. If we've got to make an enemy out of one of the two most powerful structures in this entire fucking city, then I guess that's the situation we find ourselves in. I'm not too keen on that, to be perfectly honest. I've got a lot of good friends.
We have arrangements with Hikata as the Camarilla, which we more or less represent. I mean, we can come in as diplomats and try to talk our way through it.
Yeah, we can't exactly violate the truce right now.
Be a bad idea.
At least not physically, but no one said anything about indirect attacks. He says, trying to console himself, that potentially sending a bunch of power-hungry kindred against Kareen is not an attack on the Hikata. Well,
the valets finally get to your car. Ticket already ready, waiting on keys to be deposited for you and you all to disembark from the vehicle.
Yep. I'll follow along with the motions then. Just... I know she ain't much, but please treat her nice.
Of course, sir.
Oh, yeah, this. He pulls out 220s.
Well, make sure that she's all gassed up and ready for you when you're leaving, sir.
Good man. And then I suppose the coterie will swagger our way into the Venetian's opening floor.
Therein lies the exact problem. Because it's not a problem, but it is a definite situation. As you all move with the throngs entering into the Venetian, you realize that tonight is not only is there some new former YouTube, current TikTok, rising media star doing a show here in the Venetian. There's also 3 different pageants happening at once. There's Miss Las Vegas, there is Miss Nevada, and most presently, there are teen and children categories for each and every last one. So most of the stages, most of the venues on the first floor that are not specifically for gambling are bustling. There's a huge crowd. There's sequin dresses and mothers and far too much makeup and children with even more. There are young men and women competing in the pageant, wearing their absolute Sunday's best, dressed like Friday's worst. There are just screaming gaggles of pre, post, and late teens with their overworked, overtired parents guiding them through the space. And as always, there are the degenerate, hopeful, endlessly hopeless gamblers moving from table to table, from machine to machine, plus all of the people who are just coming in because, well, the Venetian has great rates, so we're going to stay at the Venetian and we're going to go down the strip to go to the Plaza Skip. Ooh, so it's an absolute madhouse. It's a grand opening of chaos.
It's Vegas.
Right. So Morgan, as they walk through, is going to lean over to Ryan and say, So in retrospect, it totally makes sense why you have my mom's dress.
What do you mean?
You know how sometimes you forget about things when you get older? Yeah, that.
I'm sorry, love. Are you talking about dementia?
Just the protective forgetting of things when you were younger.
Oh, does the dress have a terribly dark story that comes with it?
Smile, baby, smile. We have to take the pictures, and you bump into a family of clearly pageant moms and their kids trying to get pictures of the lights and the machines going off around them. To get to the concierge desk, to get upstairs to the suite and all of that, you have to move through the grand floor. Through the floor, there are portions here leading there, and to the various stages and various productions and what have you. And seeing that gaggle of pageant moms is not the easiest thing for anyone. It's hard to not see, no matter how much the child or the kid or whoever is involved or wants to be there, you can see that they are their family's hopes and dreams. They are their family's lottery ticket. They're their family's scratch off. There's the opportunity to move further into the world based on the aesthetic of their children.
Okay, so it is that dark of a story. Well, that makes it even better for me. I'm gonna have to make sure to get that from you at some point. Items with a story are far better than items that are just given away.
Screams erupt. Ear-piercing, nerve-jangling screams. Just these high-pitched and worse.
What?
Gaggle of teens jumping up and down, and some almost fainting, others so pumped up on adrenaline and other endorphins that their eyes look like they're gonna pop out of their head. The nervous energy, the shaking, and the hair pulled back and big and bright. Clothes that are several years above their age demographic, but yet worn for this special occasion, this night concert. And, well, the excitement has to go somewhere. And while you all are not the void, you still are what they're screaming into.
Oh, that's so... Oh! Boy, am I glad that I've got less than acute hearing. Oh, this is why I prefer the quieter portions of the strip.
Amongst all of the happenings and the excitement, you spy several individuals who've passed out either from the excitement or from the touch of death at tables. You see paramedics and EMTs moving through the crowd, rushing towards this older gentleman who, from a distance, looks as if he's sleeping. But you all, already having experienced your own death as well as the deaths of several others, knows what that stillness is about. Older kindred go still like statues, or at least that's what you tell yourself. But the truth of the matter is, they don't go still like statues. They go still like the dead, soulless entities they actually are, and what you all will become in far too few years from now, and you recognize death's pallor across him. In the midst of all this lively, living excitement, the noise and the lights and the sounds, the excitement, the energy just bouncing off the walls at ever increasing speeds, you make your way to the concierge desk, and as you all are moving forward to speak to the concierge, to be buzzed up to the suites, as Fancy is leaning forward to give the room number, there's a statuesque woman, her hair pulled back into a high, severe ponytail. She's got the cheekbones of a supermodel, let's just call it what it is. And she's wearing a almost diaphanous blue gown, a pair of dangly, sparkling earrings that catches the light and dances. She smiles, making her way over as she spies Fancy. The difference in height is enough to make them seem as if they are in fact two different species of living entities. Her skin, a hair lighter, her makeup, a hair more expensively done, not done to attract the eye like those for the stage or those who are trained to entertain and hide themselves behind the illusion, but applied to purposefully seem as if it hasn't been applied. The poise reminded you of those old movies where everyone talked like news broadcasters, radio broadcasters. Hey there, Johnny, this is what... And she seemed very much out of place in all of this liveliness. There's this subtle dread that you're speaking to age, which is an impossibility because she can't be any more, or she doesn't seem like she can be any more than maybe 25, 30 at the oldest. And yet, we've been expecting you, Miss Fisher, and your party right this way. Let me escort you to the suite. And as the concierge is preparing to interject a bit of stammer on, she just raises her hand, her manicured nails clearly done daily or so. If you all will follow me.
Just letting Fancy take the lead on this. We'll follow behind her.
Fortifies herself and puts her shoulders back because she doesn't know what she's going to see when she gets to the room. She's hoping it's not going to be terrible. But there's very little hope in her mind.
Well, shit, I feel suddenly underdressed.
There is posh. There's elaborately expensive looking. And then there's the essence of wealth. It's understated. It is by dint of demand, something that you notice. There's a difference in the flavor of it. You've all seen individuals who became suddenly rich. This is Vegas. Fortunes are in fact made just enough to keep the addicts hopeful, just enough to draw attention to it. But there's a difference between rich and wealthy, and she is definitively on the far side of wealthy. In the midst of all of this gaudy, bright light and activity, she is the definition of old money. As you all enter into the elevator, she taps it with a black card. The black card of someone who is a frequent guest or someone who lives on premises. And the moment that she does, the touchscreen buttons above the 13th floor light up and she presses the 14th. You all must forgive me. Someone seems to be wearing a particularly strident cologne or perfume. Is there any way we can perhaps, upon arriving at the suite, excuse yourself to the facilities so that you might dampen that scent? It's a bit heavy.
Just kind of quietly looks left and right amongst his group, like, who the fuck is scented?
Honestly, Morgan's just gonna look at Eugene.
Not me. Yeah. You sure it's not Sparrow wearing it?
What?
Everyone likes Old Spice soap.
Suffice to say, if they're asking for us to go and clean up, we can all go and take our turns on it. Especially given that none of us seem to know who the fuck it is, he says, fully aware that he may or may not have tried on some new scents today. Although, you know, it might just be that it got trapped in the elevator with the last passengers.
Doubtful. As you all get to the 14th floor, you realize why she says doubtful. Instead of opening up and there being a long or short hallway with doors labeled for various separate suites and accommodations, the elevator opens up into the living space of suite 1472. After you all, Miss Corinna is further on. She's in the bar, which is the third hallway down. The restroom and facilities, and she points to the right, are there. I'll meet you in the hall. And she walks past you all, leaving you all with the opportunity of exiting as you wish, and begins heading towards the hall that she mentioned.
Well, let's just hope there's not just a bunch of men waiting in the bathroom to jump us.
Once she's out of earshot, or at least she looks like she's out of earshot, he says, "Did this bitch just tell us that we stink?"
Is this one of your first times interacting with like the overly wealthy individuals that think they're top of the world?
It's not my first time operating with pretension, but most people know not to immediately open up with a subtle dig at scent.
You know, I was thinking that maybe she was thinking she was smelling you because you're the only one of us who actually are still alive.
That's right.
And that might be.
That's right. That's real nice. Blame the black guy that passes the paper bag test. Good on you, Lestat.
Wait, what's the paper bag test? Gary, what the fuck is the paper bag test?
Inhale, exhale. Paper bag, inhale, exhale. Crinkle.
Is that the paper bag test?
Fancy frown and looks both that Morgan crying and Morgan with a raised brow. You know that's not what it is.
Makes total sense there, right? I mean, hyperventilation.
Alright, well, regardless. Buddy, if you wouldn't mind just waiting out here then.
You gonna be okay, Morgan?
I can take a punch or two.
As they're leaving the elevator, Ryan, All right. If you really want to know what paperback is, it is a way that they used to tell who was attractive back in the day when people first started becoming mixed. If you were lighter than a brown paper bag, you were passing. You were beautiful. If you were darker than a brown paper bag, they had all rights to put you back in chains. And then she walks away.
Well, that's dark.
I thought you liked dark stories.
No. It's just one of those awkward darks where I can't say that I like that story because I'll get in trouble. That's the bad kind of dark. Which is terrible to say given the context of the story I was just told.
Yeah, let's quickly get this resolved and out of here as quickly as possible. How's that? This place is really making me feel uncomfortable.
To be fair, I'm pretty sure most of us were the street dwellers before all of this stuff, so I'm with you on that.
You won't make it.
I wasn't.
I'm thinking that these guys should try to find a way to eat us, and I don't want to be eaten. At least not in the fun, sexy way, anyway.
You don't want to be eaten in the fun, sexy way.
Well, I don't have any friends
She's not offering that.
I mean, do you know that for sure?
Would you like to go and ask her?
We need to... I feel like that would be terrible for negotiations.
Who knows? It may not be impolite to ask your host to eat you. Hey, would you be so kind as to eat me?
Right?
I'm sure that'll work out perfectly well. For somewhere. It will, however, not work out for Martha. And there's a reason why I say this. One of the real facets of Martha's training, one of the real facets of Martha's introduction to the night and their mission, if you will, their holy mission, is avoiding the demons that float around this particular level of hell.
Literal or otherwise.
The stench of roses, a particular strain of roses, is a poison to divine beings such as yourself. And that stench, that scent, is prevalent and pressing. It is painful, itchy. Most humans would say you have an allergy, but you know that it is something else. It is an assault on the senses. It is an attempt to mask and chain the divine being such as yourself. Would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your wits plus awareness for me, please? And while that roll is in the offing, it's almost impossible for you all to not notice that your normally stoic, calm Martha is itching their palms. There's a redness around the fingernail tips, around the cuticles. There's a flush to their cheeks. You are sure that if they were alive, they'd be perspiring.
Is everything alright, Martha? You're, looking a bit on edge.
And unfortunately, as you're asking this, you're closing in distance to your host. I'm sure that she'll be fine. Not everyone is accustomed to being this far from the public. The air is purified and recirculated to keep away many of the allergens that certain strata of society bring and carry with them. If you all will follow me, we do ask. She pauses and turns as if it's just a secondary thought. We do ask that, being as the nature of all negotiations can become tense, that any such considerations of violence be reconsidered. At which point, like all bad guys, like all actors and performers and entertainers, knowing the right moment to introduce yourself is penultimate. So it's easy to see that David is not in fact penultimate. What my wife is trying to tell you motherfuckers is if y'all don't start nothing, there won't be nothing. There's supposed to be a conversation. That's all it's gonna motherfucking be. You got that shit right?
Way to make an entrance, love. And yeah, we understand.
Alright, good shit. Don't try nothing, otherwise I gotta fuck y'all up. And I really don't want to fuck anybody up. Well, who am I kidding? I really would like to fuck some motherfuckers up. But once I start that list, I'm probably not gonna stop that list until, well, SWAT team take me down. So let's not make me have to make you famous and put myself on the news. Okay, motherfuckers?
Absolutely. With the propensity for the SWAT teams to just show up out of the blue recently, that is a concern to be had.
Yeah, I don't know which motherfuckers y'all pissed off, but y'all caught Corinna's attention, and that's just goddamn swell for you motherfuckers. She's real. Well, anyway, y'all will meet her. Come on in. Asha, baby, go ahead and make sure that motherfucker out there ain't up to no shit. You know them motherfuckers still silverware and all that shit. Blonde head, wannabe motherfucker. You're right this way.
Am I on the set of a Samuel L. Jackson film?
Who?
That's what I was thinking.
No, that's
He
definitely
raises
not
an
it.
eyebrow.
Just ignore me, sorry. Sometimes my mind comes up with things that don't really need to be said, but I say them anyways.
So you got a problem putting shit in your mouth, is what you saying?
Well, no, it's not putting shit in my mouth, it's just taking shit out of it.
Well, how about just keeping it shut?
Hey, what can I say?
Nothing.
I will find that to be very rude, but I'll do my best to keep my color commentary to myself.
What you call me, motherfucker?
No, goddamn, I'm not talking about that kind of color. First the paper bag thing and all this.
Which one of you motherfuckers is fancy?
I like to think I'm
Define
sophisticated
fancy.
myself.
Fancy fucking fisher?
Oh, that wouldn't be me.
No, that's her.
Ah, okay. Well, you leading this ragtag motherfuckers, come on in here. Look, Corinna, she gonna take you out on the balcony. It's a thing. She like to take in the view of the strip, show off all of that we lost and all that bullshit. But just, I know you probably want a proof of fucking life. And he pulls out his cell phone. In one of the suites, and he shows you the cell phone of Corinne sitting at a dinette in some well-lit suite, eating and luxuriating in a big, soft, comfy bathrobe. TV is clearly on. We ain't the animals motherfuckers think that we is. Your girlfriend's okay. But business gotta be handled, otherwise, it'll handle you. We don't want that shit to happen either. So, y'all pull up and sit down on the couches. Y'all need a drink or some shit?
If you're
Maybe
offering,
later,
sure, but
but I
otherwise, it's
appreciate
fine.
it.
Good, there's a wet bar in that motherfucking corner over there. And the moment that he points to the wet bar, of course, the doors to the balcony open and Corinna enters. She's wearing a summer dress, an actual sundress, in shades of green and brown, and looking all too fucking tan to be healthy. It's the sort of tan that makes it look as if she's been working out in the sun the entirety of her life. There's a natural rustic beauty there, but the whole idea of her being a pageant child, participant, beauty queen is a little bit far-stretched. She's not wearing any makeup. Her hair is done and well kept, but there's a predatory aspect to her. There's a very real, almost insane light dancing behind her eyes. David, thank you. Fancy, friends, I thought we'd be able to talk alone, but being as there's more of you here, I guess I should get right to the point. There are...
Oh, sorry. While she's prepping herself to speak, Ryan is paying attention, but he is also heading off towards the bar.
Excellent. A few farther feet on, and she gives a quick glance and back to the point. She's looking at a space on the carpet that is not different than any other space, but it's clear that that's the mark that she's trying to hit and trying to summon her thoughts. There was a theft that we sponsored, and we want all of the items. Corinne was forthcoming enough to let us know that Mr. Ivanov, the Immortal, was running the crew responsible for the theft. We've already put out word and let several individuals know that we are in fact on the case to get the items back. That requires us to potentially end Mr. Ivanov's life. We don't want to do it, but loose threads and strings must be taken care of. So, Miss Bailey told us that you have one of the items from one of the boxes. We'd like to test and make sure that it is accurate so that we can pay you for your time. And also enlist you all to track down Mr. Ivanov and all of the parcels and bring them to us here. For which you'll be reimbursed. And the moment she says there's a knock on the door. Literally someone took the elevator to this floor and entered through the back way, or is attempting to enter through the back way. Those in the know and who have bottled the Hakata for years know Max Castiglione. She's from out east. She enters in her inimitable way. 5, 6 guards on each side. And as you all watch Max Castiglione enter, and Corinna look from you to her as if this is some sort of setup, you realize that you all really are stuck between a rock and a hard place. Decisions, decisions, decisions. And as those thoughts are percolating and considerations to be made, we end Las Vegas with a toss of a dice, a choice to be made, a decision to choose. And whatever fate decides for the coterie of Las Vegas, I wish you all luck in your endeavors and thank you for your time. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.